Chapter 7, July, Journeys and Destinations, July 1st. Singing when no one else is around is always good. I especially like belters. Good, loud singing is probably better medicine than half the stuff they sell in pill bottles, and it's cheaper too. Aaron McKean. I love to sing when no one else is around. It's a way to experiment with my voice in ways I might not do if I was in front of people. When you're by yourself, you can test things out to see how they sound. Essentially, you are practicing your craft without an audience. After I work the kinks out, I then bring whatever I was working on to a crowd and audience, a live in-person performance. As far as good, loud singing goes, I totally agree with what Aaron says. In a way, belting songs out as loud as you can is like screaming, except it's in a controlled situation where melody is just as important as the loudness of the singing. There is something therapeutic and healing about being able to let loose like this. In life, we have to let out our stresses, the anxieties, and excess energy we may have if we are feeling angry or upset. Singing loud is a great way to let these emotions out in a constructive, productive way without hurting anyone or yourself. And it most certainly is cheaper than taking pills, because all you have to do is put the radio on, a YouTube video on, or a CD on. In most cases, you already have these types of playback devices, so it doesn't cost you anything extra. Singing yet again for the win on multiple levels. July 2nd, choir singing's a wonderful thing for what ails you. There's a lot of meaning in a hymn if you think about it when you're singing it. Sarah Vaughan. I wholeheartedly agree with this quote. There is just something special about singing with a group of people as opposed to just singing by yourself. You are in a literal and metaphorical harmony with others when you sing simultaneously, feeding off of each other's musical notes and overall presence of performance, even when not in church. When you are in church, this presence and harmony gets amplified tenfold if you are fully open to the experience. How so? Because if you really think about the reason why you are singing, what you are singing, hymns and worship music and praise of God, feelings of ultimate goodness, euphoria, and inspiration inevitably flood your being. Combine that with the organ being played, maybe a trumpet, a guitar, violin, or any other instrument the church might have, in addition to the singing voices of the choir through the song you're singing, and you just set the scene for an unbelievably life-changing experience. There was so much meaning and purpose put into the words, and when sung as a congregation, give you the goosebumps and fill you with much joy and peace as a result. In essence, singing hymns as part of a choir might just heal your soul and even your body, physical aches and pains, when focusing your mind and energy on something as profound as worship music. July 3rd, let us go singing as far as we go. The road will be less tedious. Virgil. So true, when we are doing something as joyful, happy, and positive as singing is, no matter what we are going through in life, it will always be our sides encouraging and inspiring us along the way. We could think of it almost like a trusted friend who is there to listen and give us the daily, and sometimes multiple times daily, pick-me-up we might need during times of trial, tribulation, hardship, emergency, grief, anxiety, and stress. It will most certainly make the time go by faster, because when you're doing something you like singing, time flies when you're having fun. This is especially true when we are singing a song we thoroughly enjoy at the top of our lungs. It can lighten the load and even bear the burden for us when we feel the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It can make things seem not so bad when we lean on a specific song or songs for comfort and peace. And the greatest thing about it is that it does this not just once, but time and time again. It is a repeat offender in the best way, proving to us over and over that it is here to stay for the long haul, and it's not a one-and-done scenario. July 4th, I was in a church choir, and that really helped me musically in terms of chops, learning how to sing harmonies. Emily Salyers. Beautiful, simply beautiful. Being in a choir most certainly will help improve your chops, as they say. If you don't know what that phrase means, that's okay. It means to get better at what you're doing, enhancing and building upon the skills you already have and learning new ones at the same time. In essence, you are becoming a better, more well-rounded version of yourself through skill acquisition and practice. This is especially true for doing something in a group setting as well. When you sing in a group and do it well, you have to listen to what others are doing and feed off of their energy and apply it to what you are singing. If it's your job to sing the fifth, for instance, instead of the lead part, you have to listen to what the others in the group are doing and then find the part you were supposed to sing, blending them together in beautiful musical layers. The great thing about this idea is that it can be applied to anything in life as well. For example, you could be a tradesperson, plumber, electrician, carpenter, learning something new every day by reading up on the latest literature on your area of expertise and then incorporating whatever it is you learned into how you hold yourself on jobs every day. When other coworkers and colleagues see you learning and growing, it should light a fire under their butt to want to do the same. It should inspire them to want to be like you, so you are being a role model of sorts as well, and you become a teacher and student at the same time. To me, this is where we all ought to be living every day, teaching others through our actions while still learning more to become better at what we are doing and how we hold ourselves throughout life. July 5th. The kids in the Jesus movement weren't singing for themselves. It seemed like they were singing to someone, Greg Laurie. This is exactly right. They were singing to a higher power, a supreme being, and namely God. And if they weren't singing directly to God, they were singing to Jesus, his one and only Son, both human and divine. They were singing to him with the hopes of praising him for everything he's done, is doing, and will do for them in the future. They were singing to him for guidance, wisdom, healing, patience, compassion, understanding, peace, and more great attributes to incorporate into their daily lives. And I'm sure they were singing to him for a whole bunch of other reasons as well. But these are the ones that pop right out to me as being glaringly obvious. When we do something for someone else, you are removing your ego from the situation, serving and supporting your fellow brother and sister in positive, long-lasting ways. So when we sing to or for someone else rather than just for ourselves, we are doing what's best for another person, a selfless kind of sacrificing our time and energy for the betterment of others. This is where the great stuff in life happens. July 6th, I'm singing for the love of it. Have mercy on the man who sings to be adored. Josh Ritter. You've got it right, Josh. It is really in our best interest for the short term and long term to do something because you love it and not for the accolades, money, or anything else outside of the love of it. Why? Because at the end of the day and at the end of our lives, we will want to look back on it, what it is we spent most of our time and energy on with joy, happiness, peace, and love, or with scorn, disdain, bitterness, anxiety, and stress. For me, I would rather the former than the latter. You see, when we do something simply because we love it and for no other reasons, our intention is pure. We are able to truly focus our minds and energy into that particular area, not worrying that I want more, I want to become famous, or the like. Whenever we pursue something for these other reasons, our minds are always seeking for the next thing or the bigger thing, and that is a never-ending, exhausting endeavor. Bottom line is that it will never be enough. However, if we do something because we love it, that love we have for it is enough. It fills us with all the good feelings, sustains us when times are tough, and has the ability to inspire us through the act of what we're doing. An example, the process. Let this be a stark reminder to do something for the right reasons. And a major one is doing something because you love it. What else should we be doing with our time anyway? July 7th. The best advice I can give a young aspiring singer is not to become an old aspiring singer or not a Scotto. Although this can be seen as a joke, there is seriousness to everyone. I believe what Renata is really hinting at is the idea that in order to succeed at anything, you have to take that first step and start. A lot of what holds people back from achieving their dreams is just that, starting. They might think, what if I don't have what it takes? Or what if I fail? Or what if I let everyone I love down? And start doubting themselves before they ever begin. They might think, I don't have the proper training, credentials, or equipment to do this, and never actually start. I've seen this before with exercising, especially as it pertains to running. The question of what shoe do I buy can send you down a rabbit hole never to be heard of from again. Just take whatever pair of shoes you have and head out the door. The first step is starting. This may seem obvious, but it is unbelievably common to just not take that first step. In life, we have to take chances, go out on a limb, or do something new. In a sense, it's taking a calculated risk. If we never do anything, any of the above, then we'll never grow into the person who we are meant to be. We'll never become the best version of ourselves. You don't want to be 90 years old on your deathbed and think, what if, with anything in life? That would be a huge letdown, and you might be filled with lots of regret. You want to think, wow, I really did some cool things and went on the great adventure and journey that is life. So if a great singer is what you want to do and who you want to be, then go for it right here and right now. July 8th, everywhere was singing. All over the house was singing, and outside the house was alive with singing, and the very air was song. Richard Llewellyn. This is so on point that it's not even funny. Let's dive deeper into this piece by piece, shall we? Everywhere was singing. Outside the house was alive with singing, and the very air was song, are all essentially the same to me, because if singing is everywhere, then it has to be in the air. And it's true. Somewhere in the world, some person, a group of people, a bird or birds are singing. When we sing or put musical notes into the atmosphere, the sound continues on without us realizing it for an indefinite amount of time and space. So the musical notes are literally and metaphorically in the air at once. Another way of looking at this is saying that everywhere in everything is music, and that is true too. Whether we are using traditional music instruments like guitar, piano, drums, etc., objects around the house, an example, rice inside of an empty water bottle, or pieces of nature, an example, sticks in the yard as drumsticks, we can create music with anything, anywhere. The wind moving the trees is creating a nice ambient background song, as does the rhythmic hum of distant cars, trains, or planes passing by, and the slow trickle of water in a creek, or the booming sound of water racing down a river. In short, the world around us is alive with singing and music all the time. All over the house was singing, shares a lot of the attributes as the above paragraph. In addition to what was already mentioned, the tea kettle can sing its own song, the clock sings its own song, a child literally singing or humming a tune is singing his or her own song, and a dog or cat can sing their own song in a unique way. An example, rhythmic barking or purring. You get the point. July 9th, preaching to the choir actually arms the choir with arguments and elevates the choir's discourse. Dan Savage. If we preach to the choir, there's a tendency to light a fire in the choir's belly, encouraging, motivating, and inspiring them to stand up even more for what they already believe in. And this isn't just limited to a choir in a church believing and singing for the glory of God. It can be with anyone you come across in life, because when you preach to the choir and don't know you're preaching to the choir, as the saying goes, you could be opening the door for further conversation, good, bad, or ugly. The hope is that it would lead to a good and positive conversation where everyone involved learns something they didn't know and is treated with kindness and respect. Or it could just end with the other person recognizing that as if to recognize that, saying that as if to recognize that. Yeah, I've been there, done that, or I know what you mean. Moving on to another point of discussion. Preaching to a literal choir can even make them perform better when they were before in an act of conviction, perseverance, and camaraderie as well. All in all, go on ahead and preach to the choir. It will most likely make them better, more equipped, and in some cases an unstoppable force for good in the world. July 10th, faith and joy are the ascensive forces of song, Edmund Clarence Stedman. In order to properly comment on this, we must first define the terms. And yes, some of these words we all know the definitions of, but it's a nice visual to put in this way. Number 1, faith, complete trust or confidence in something or someone. For me, faith is believing in something you can't see. This is exactly what songs are. Layers of instruments producing music that cannot be seen by the eye, but heard by the ear and felt within the body and soul. In many cases, faith leads us to change our ways or continue to pursue how we hold ourselves and act through our life. Number 2, joy, a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. This is exactly what music through songs can do. A good song gives us those feelings of pleasure, happiness, and dare I say, euphoria. Number 3, ascensive, rising or tending to rise. Music does have the tendency to rise to a powerful part, building and building until that huge payoff in the chorus, in the bridge, or the ending of a song. It's called hitting the crescendo. It not only does this through the song itself, but in lifting our spirits up. An example, rising. Number 4, strength or energy as an attribute of physical action or movement, mental or moral strength or power, a person or thing regarded as exerting powerful or influence. There are more, but these 3 hit it right in the head. Faith can move mountains, can't get much stronger than that. Songs make us jump for joy and encourage us to be better versions of ourselves, lifting us up to places we never thought possible. And number 5, song. A short poem or other set of words set to music are meant to be sung, singing, or vocal music. This is self-explanatory, as we've mentioned this on multiple occasions on this page and referenced it many times in this book already. All in all, what Edmund said is right. Faith and joy are the ascensive forces of song. July 11th. I hate straight singing. I have to change a tune to my own way of doing it. That's all I know, Billie Holiday. Although there is some comfort and familiarity in straight singing, it can be a bit stiff and even boring at times. Billie is speaking to her natural tendency or inkling to spice it up and make a song her own. Maybe it's singing a song slower, faster, or louder or softer than the original. Maybe it's putting vocal trills in there, singing a part in falsetto, or changing the key. Maybe it's changing the genre of the song. In all these cases, it's about being playful and experimenting with the song, truly making it your own. Even if a song isn't an original one, you can almost make it an original one by your interpretation of it in your own style. This is where creativity and ingenuity lies. And this concept isn't limited to singing. It can be applied to everyday life. How can you go about your day, spicing things up, adding your own little touch or flair to what you do, career, or intend to do, leisure, or hobbies? The possibilities are nearly endless if you have the curiosity and creativity to cultivate something in your own unique way that no one else will be able to replicate 100%. Go for it today. Why not? July 12th. Someone's parents have been singing entirely the wrong sort of songs. Patrick Rothfuss. If this is true, then the complete opposite of this must also be true. Someone's parents must have been singing entirely the right sort of songs. With anything in life, let us remember to focus more on the positive than the negative, but I digress. What I believe Patrick is referring to is the idea that there are some people in this world who have been looking at life through a glass half empty sort of way instead of a glass half full way. They have been living life in a constant state of worry, stress, anxiety, gloom, and doom, and all that is lost. Therefore, the way they carry themselves and deal with situations in life is either a high alert alarm or giving up before anything happens. Disappointment, depression, or paralyzed by fear. Outwardly is stressed out or with their heads down in the dumps. Now, the complete opposite of this is true as well. There are people in the world who have been living life in a perpetual state of creativity, freedom, joy, peace, hope, and love. The way they carry themselves is inevitably different from the glass half empty crowd. They hold themselves like things in life are a game, a puzzle to figure out, always looking for different ways to solve problems and an adventure, all with a smile on their faces and their heads held high. It's all about perspective and how we choose to weave our way through this crazy journey we call life. Which one would you rather be? I choose the latter. July 13th. I don't have the will for singing, but I must do it. Alfredo Kraus. Very interesting quote. It almost sounds contradictory, but it isn't. Alfredo is admitting he doesn't always want to sing by saying, I don't have the will for singing. This is okay. Sometimes we don't always want to do the thing it is we enjoy or are good at. Why? Because responsibilities, stresses, and deadlines can get the best of us and wear us down. Even a bad night's sleep or an argument with a loved one can drain your energy so as to not feel inspired to do the thing we enjoy or are good at. However, what's revelatory is what he says in the second part of the sentence, but I must do it. So he is saying with this that even though he doesn't feel inspired or into singing at a given moment, he feels compelled to still do it. Why? Maybe because he knows the positive impact it will have on him right after he has finished singing. Maybe it's become such a part of his daily routine that he feels lost without doing it, even if he isn't initially inspired to do so. The same concept can be applied to other areas of life, one being exercise. For me, it isn't always the easiest to go out and run in the morning. Maybe my muscles ache, I'm not in their best headspace, I didn't sleep well last night, and I'm pressed for time in the morning before everyone in the house goes for their separate ways for the day, work and school. I do enjoy running, but not every day. However, I still get out there and do it because I know the positive impacts and results it gives me. Feeling good about accomplishing something first thing in the morning and pushing past when I feel my mind and body can take. Breaking a sweat before getting into the shower, my body looking fit in the mirror, etc., etc. What area of life can you apply the same kind of logic to? July 14th, sang in tones of deep emotion, songs of love and songs of longing. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So poetic and so true. We owe it to ourselves as singers and as human beings to sing or live with deep emotion, expressing love and longing to become better versions of ourselves every single day. Is there really anything better we have to do with our time here on this earth? I mean, if we don't dive deep into our craft of singing or in the relationships and experiences we have in life, then we are essentially going through the motions, sacrificing the gift of music and life itself. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be at the end of my life and think I didn't give everything I had into what I did with the time I've been given. I want to rest easy and be at peace, knowing I gave it my all and really dug deep into every facet of my life, bringing love and positive energy to it. To live with intentionality, meaning, and purpose, that would signify a life well lived to me. July 15th, to a poet, the human community is like the community of birds to birds singing to each other. Love is one of the reasons we are singing to one another. Love of language itself, love of sound, love of singing itself, and love of the other birds. Sharon Olds. I love the sentiment. Get what I did there? The love of everyone and everything is what Sharon is talking about. And she couldn't be more right. To be happy, joyful, hopeful, at peace, etc., etc., it is in our best interest to love everyone and everything. Here are some other quotes which speak to the one above. Number 1, love makes the world go round. Number 2, all you need is love. Number 3, love one another as I have loved you. Number 4, love your neighbor as yourself. If we can internalize and embody all these quotes, then they will most certainly give us energy, provide us with a sense of community, togetherness, and unity, give us much peace and understanding, and help us practice patience, compassion, and understanding. These are all the best characteristics to have as a human being. July 16th, singing connects the mind with the heart and the heart with the soul. So sing, I dare you. Neil Donald Walsh. What a great visual representation of the act of singing. When we sing, if we are doing it the right way, we inevitably think about what we are singing before, during, and after we sing a particular song. Being that our throats are the mechanism used to bring the lyrics and melody out into the world, we are simultaneously connecting our minds to our hearts in a literal and metaphorical way through it. The same idea can be applied to singing, to connecting the heart to the soul. How? Because after we connect the mind to the heart through singing as described above, we tend to embody the lyrics into our being, truly feeling the emotions of the lyrics and melodies. When we do this, we can think of it like we are integrating it into our entire self, which can become part of the way we conduct ourselves in the world from then on. I love everything about it. I accept your down here. July 17th. I prefer to sing in the shower because the acoustics are really, really good. I mean, when you're singing against the tile walls, then you really hear yourself, hear your voice, throwing itself back at you. Thea Migia. There's definitely something to this quote. Have you ever tried to sing in the shower? It actually usually does sound really good in that space, that environment. More often than not, showers are built with particular materials that reverberate sound in a unique way, very different from the rest of the walls in your house. Due to the type of construction, there is a natural reverb, and in some cases, even a slight echo to any type of sound in there. This is especially the case for singing. All in all, it sounds better in the shower than in most other places. It's a great feeling, and it's no wonder why so many people do it. It's like the environment shapes your voice into a more well-rounded version of itself. This is just another reason to sing anywhere, anytime. July 18th. I would be happy at a piano bar singing. I just want to hone in on being the best singer I can be. Debbie Boone. I love this quote. Debbie has come to the point in her life and career where it doesn't matter where or when she is singing. She just loves the act of singing for what it is. It doesn't have to be in front of an audience of 100,000 people. She could be just as happy singing in front of a few people in a real intimate audience, singing with friends at a house party, and even singing by herself. There's something very mature about this line of thinking. Some might say she is settling and giving up on really making it big, but I would have to respectfully disagree. Why? Because she knows what she is happy and content with, and directing her attention on the art and journey of becoming a better singer every day rather than paying attention to what others might want her to do or expect her to do. This is what we ought to be doing anyway, sharpening our skills in a laser-focused kind of way, ignoring distractions and the noises that may surround us at any given time. In addition to this, life, like in singing, can be full of surprises, an adventure, if you will. It's okay to have certain comforts, but to be a bit unpredictable keeps people guessing and interested in what may come next or how you tick. July 19th. It is not enough merely to memorize and spout vocal axioms. Good singing is infinitely more than much talk and head knowledge. Jerome Hines. I wholeheartedly agree, Jerome. It isn't enough to just memorize and regurgitate lyrics as it pertains to singing. Anyone could do this. It's the same as memorizing information for a test to just make a good grade, but then forgetting everything you just memorized after the test. What's the point? The real learning and education in life comes from incorporating the information into your daily life, internalizing and even embodying the essence of it. This way you can recall it at a moment's notice without having to look it up because you forgot right after you originally learned it. Good singing, dare I say great singing, works the same way. As a singer, if you don't embody or internalize the lyrics into your being and actually feel what the lyrics are talking about or speaking to, then there is no way you would be able to deliver a powerful, moving, inspirational performance of said song or songs. The performance would miss the mark or fall flat, pun intended. The audience would know you are either faking it, going through the motions, or the worst of all, lip syncing. So we owe it to the audience, ourselves, and most importantly, the song for taking it to the next level every single time you get up on stage to perform. Really feel everything that is going on in the song, the music, the lyrics, the emotions. You'll be surprised at how life-changing of a moment this can be. July 20th. Great spirit when we face the sunset, when we come singing the last song, may it be without shame, singing it is finished in beauty, it is finished in beauty. Evelyn Eaton. You hit the nail right in the head, Evelyn. This is a great metaphor for life. Always singing throughout it, even until the last second. When we reach the end of our time here on this earth, a goal for me is to look back on it with fond, wonderful memories and think, I lived a well-rounded and fulfilled life, and I'm proud of what I did to make the world a better place as well as be the best version of myself. I love the image of singing at the end as well, taking our last breath and letting it out in a triumphant song, loud and proud in a beautiful melodic way for the last time. I can't think of a better way to leave this life and pass on to the next, an example, heaven for eternity. Can you? July 21st. I love singing. I just love it. Glenn Campbell. What else needs to be said about singing? If you love it, then I'm sure you feel the same way as Glenn and want to shout it from the rooftops. Why do we think and feel this way? Because singing makes us feel good, and these feel-good vibes don't just feel good in the moment, but have residual positive impacts in the long term. It's a great way to pass the time and make good use of your time, as it's a constructive outlet for creative expression that is good for the singer as well as the listener. The positive feedback loop continues on and on with singing, so bring it on over and over again. July 22nd. Singing live is my favorite. When people sing along to your songs, the circle is complete. Hunter Hayes. I have to agree. Singing live is awesome. To let loose with a whole bunch of people at once while singing your heart out is number one in my book. It can be seen so freeing to let the music and lyrics move through your soul. It can also help us feel connected to one another on a deeper level through this shared experience. And being a singer-songwriter, I can say firsthand that the only thing to contend with singing live being the favorite is when you're singing live and people are singing along to your song. It's an indescribable feeling and one that usually gives me the goosebumps. Everything comes together and aligns. Everything seems to make sense. Everything is right in the world. Another way of saying this is saying the circle is complete. And when this happens, it allows the singer-songwriter to look at his or her song through the eyes of someone else and how it has impacted the listener as much as it has impacted them. July 23rd. I'm much more comfortable singing than talking. Kenny Rogers. Ain't that the truth, Kenny? There is something about singing that makes us feel more comfortable than talking does. Why is this the case? When we are singing, we are saying someone else's words that were already written down for us to look at and remember. These words can help us express our feelings in a more dramatic, romantic, and melodic way than talking ever could. Since we are singing someone else's words, we don't have to think of an original idea like we do when we talk to someone else. The idea is already there, and all we have to do is sing the words of that idea out. In this sense, it is easier to sing than talk as far as coming up with an original idea goes if we are singing someone else's song. And even if we're singing our own song lyrics, the melodic performance of the words in the song is easier to sing than talk. The song is a mechanism for us to somewhat hide behind as well, because the song can be a barrier between us and the person or people we are singing it to. If we are strictly talking to someone, there's no barrier between us and them. For instance, if they don't feel the same way about us when we are singing a love song to someone we care about, we can use the song as a mask of sorts and play it off like it was just a song we liked and wanted to sing for him or her. Conversely, if they do feel the same way as us, singing lyrics can be one of the most romantic ways to express those feelings and can drive the point home about how we feel even more than merely saying those words in a regular conversation. July 24th. There's something about singing that I just love. It makes me feel freer than anything in the world. Mandy Pettikin. There most certainly is something about singing that I love as well. And it's not just one thing I love about singing. It's multiple things. These things are so true to me that they are like facts. Number one, the fact that I can express myself in a way that I wouldn't otherwise. Talking is way different than singing. 2, the fact that I feel great during and after singing gives me peace, joy, happiness, and love. 3, the fact that I can go to another place in my head while singing, while simultaneously thinking about the present moment, almost living in a duality of sorts. 4, the fact that I can use the art and act of singing as a means to make the world a better place, to inspire others, and to do overall good with it. And 5, the fact that it is like another workout for me. Exercise is not only good for the body, but for the mind and soul as well. I could go on and on, but these are the top 5, in no particular order for me. What about singing do you love? I encourage you to make a list for yourself to come back to when you're having a tough day or things don't seem to be going your way. It can help bring things into perspective and be a necessary reminder to sing ourselves to joy and happiness. July 25th. Singing is a form of meditation, apparently the only one that I have command over. Brandy Carlisle. From transcendental meditation to breathing meditation to moving meditation, long-distance exercise or yoga to music meditation and more, the practice of meditation can take many forms. For me, I feel like breathing meditation and moving meditation work best and produce the greatest results in the short term and long term. For you, it may be completely different. The best thing we could do as far as meditation goes is to try out a few and see what resonates with you the most. Whatever you end up choosing for yourself, it all comes back to the breath. No matter if it's TM, breathing, moving, or music, all these meditation practices and more bring it back to focusing on the breath and nothing else. In the hustle and bustle of life, it can be challenging and sometimes feel impossible to carve out the time to meditate. But for someone who practices a variation of all these types of meditation, it is most certainly worth it in order to not overworry or overstress about all the activities, events on the calendar, and everything we know we want to, and more often than not need to accomplish in a day. Life can be overwhelming, and meditating is a great way to break that cycle of overwhelm and help clear the mechanism, bringing things more into control, if you will. To Brandy's point about singing being the only form of meditation she has command or control over, I can understand where she's coming from. It is all about breathing at the right time so as to best sing the notes and melodies one is attempting to perform of a song. The lyrics become a mantra you can focus your mind on, so that and breathing are the only two things you're focusing on, rather than all the chores you have to do later on in the day, for example. So if singing can help you bring you more into the present moment, then by all means use that as your form of meditation. If something else does, that's great too. The bottom line is that meditating is a great way to be in the here and now, not worrying about things that have already happened or might happen in the future. This is the best place to be anyway, in the present. July 26th. When I was 2, my mom said she knew I was going to be a singer. I've been performing ever since I was a young kid, so I've known I wanted to do this for a while. I always knew in my heart that I'd be singing, Avril Lavigne. It's one thing for a parent to have an intuition about their child as far as a talent or gift goes, but to have this sort of realization and self-awareness at such a young age within yourself is a rare and amazing thing. In Avril's case, this is exactly what happened. Some might think, wow, she's lucky to have discovered and known this so early in life. I'm an adult and I still don't know what I want to do or feel called to do. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to not to have it all figured out. No one does. We are all trying to make the most out of every day, weaving our way through the obstacles, roadblocks, triumphs, and successes, doing our best to make sense out of why this or that did or didn't happen to or for us. There are many things in life we don't have control over, so it's in our best interest to accept those things for what they are instead of fighting them or trying to figure everything out. Some things are meant to be figured out right now. Some things aren't meant to be figured out at all. Some things are meant to be figured out, but not just yet, all in due time. The bottom line is that we owe it to ourselves to keep becoming better versions of ourselves every day with our heads held high so as to take on the day and go on this great adventure that is life. Avril found her journey early on. If you haven't found yours yet, keep on keeping on. There can be much excitement in the pursuit. July 27th. I've loved singing since forever, whether it was with my sisters while cleaning the kitchen, putting shows on for my stuffed animals, writing songs about my stuffed animals, starting an a cappella group of my cousins while on vacation, or awkwardly singing along to karaoke tracks alone in my bedroom. Singing always found a way into my life. Kina Granis. This is a great way to live. If you enjoy something enough, then why not have it find its way into everything you do? It can only make you happy and bring you joy all day, every day, if you are open to letting it infiltrate all activities in some way, shape, or form. Instead of trying to put it into a box to take out some other time, embrace it right now. Music and singing, for that matter, have found its way into so many parts of my life that it's hard to think of a time when I'm not thinking about creating or performing music. And the best part about it is that I love it. July 28th. When I started really singing, I was 17, 18 years old. I used to go around trying to be a singer in the Bronx. My knees would shake, but I learned by doing. Dominic Chianese. I know how nerve-wracking it can be when you're first starting out on stage. It feels like you're bearing your soul for the world to see, with nothing in between your innermost thoughts, feelings, and the audience. I'll never forget these first couple mic nights I did 20 years ago. Sweating profusely in the bathroom, stomach in knots, and not sure if I could muster up the courage to go out and sing 3 original songs. But I did. I sure muscled my way through those experiences, and over time, it became easier and easier to get up there. Now, I don't even really think about it. It has become second nature to where I don't get nervous, to the point of analysis paralysis. There are some butterflies present, but they're healthy butterflies, encouraging me through the excitement that is performing live. All I've done is flip the switch in my brain, performing as a positive, fun experience rather than as a negative. The whole world is looking at me, judging every note in every lyric way, like I used to do when I first jumped into live performance. It's something everyone has to go through when starting out. There is much to learn from being able to control your emotions, to take that nervous energy and channel it into something positive, forward-moving, and beautiful. Is it easy? No, it isn't, but it is a necessary step in becoming a more well-rounded performer and person. Once we can make the uncomfortable at least tolerable, we've learned that we can do it. This is the best way to learn, by doing something over and over again. We can read about a particular topic all we want, but until we do it, it's missing the second half of the idea, and any idea for that matter, the action. Taking action is what brings any idea into fruition. We owe it to ourselves to push the envelope and go after it. July 29th, and voices singing out of empty cisterns and exhausted wells, T.S. Eliot. Timothy's quote is all about singing in every situation, every experience, and every place we may find ourselves in throughout life. We do have the ability within us. It's all about mustering up the courage and finding the inspiration to do so. I know it can be hard when you're in the thick of it to think of singing, but it will most certainly make us feel better and connected with something. And in most cases, someone outside of ourselves. Sometimes all we need to do is to feel like we're not alone in the world with how we're feeling or what we're going through, to know that we can push through the tough times and come out on the other side stronger and better for it. Even in darkest of places, the most dire of circumstances, and times of pure exhaustion, music in the form of singing is present. It can be in the form of an echo resonating somewhere, the tea kettle whistling its "I'm ready for the water to be poured out" tune, and many other things around us. All we have to do is take notice of it, dig deep within our souls, and summon it to the surface. Of course, this is a lot easier said than done, but if we could find a way to remind ourselves to sing, and in my opinion, every single day, it would do us much good. July 30th. I feel like in every situation in life, I just always end up singing, like anywhere, Ruth B. There's nothing wrong with that, Ruth. Sing even if it's in a time of trial, tribulation, or hardship. In doing so, you're making the best of the situation, inspiring and willing yourself to continue to keep on going and never give up. You just might sing yourself into a state of peace, happiness, love, joy, and gratitude along the way. Sing especially when it's in a time of triumph, so as to make an already good situation even better in celebration. And sing even when everything seems to be going normal or status quo. It can help inspire you to spice things up in your life and bring more joy, meaning, and purpose to it, transforming the mundane and ordinary to exciting and extraordinary. The moral of the story is that if singing is what can consistently depend and lean on in life, then go for it. It's a constructive and positive way to spend your time, not only inspiring and encouraging yourself, but most likely others as well. July 31st. We are facing a generation of young singers who are much more diminutive in their approach to singing. Jerome Hines. I have to be honest, I didn't know what the word diminutive meant when reading this quote. After looking at the definition, I would have to respectfully disagree with this for the below reasons. Diminutive means extremely or unusually small. If Jerome literally means that young singers are a lot smaller in their approach to singing, then I think a lot of singers would take offense to that, young or old. Why? Because he's essentially saying that they are not taking their art profession seriously enough if they aren't dreaming big and learning all the ins and outs, the nuances, all the vocal techniques one can learn in order to be the most well-rounded, well-equipped singer they can be. Of course, this can be stressful and overwhelming at times because everyone reacts to stimuli and situations differently. Maybe one technique works for someone, but the same one doesn't work for another person. There is this added pressure put into your craft because so-and-so can do that, but you can't yet. But if Jerome is being more existential and philosophical about this diminutive approach, then I would say it's a positive attribute to want to emulate and incorporate into your style. How? Because I would take the word diminutive and changing the wording of small to simple in the definition. You could think of it in this way. If this is the case, then as the old saying goes, there is genius in simplicity. Sometimes we need to just keep it simple so as to not overwhelm or overburden ourselves, focusing on the things we are already good at and making them great as opposed to being decent at many things. There's no pressure added to your plate as far as needing to compete with other people to become the best, but rather become the best singer for you, first and foremost. Life will be a little less stressful than the former. You'll enjoy the process or journey more.